The other interesting piece of evidence which has come from this the site of Burzahom, for example, is the remains of birch tree.
Okay.
Now the name Burzahom is very interesting. It is in Kashmiri, it means the place of burz or birch tree.
Birch.
So it seems that probably they used the woods of both birch and some kind of pine roof, kind of thatched roof with pine leaves, to prepare a shelter. But interestingly enough, in the period 2 levels later on, we find that these holes were filled up with clay, and the top was actually covered and plastered with mud with a coating of red ochre, which is also very interesting. Now in the period 1 level, not only were they living inside these pits, but their hearts were also formed as pits, and the shape of the huts were different, not round or oval, but square or rectangular, and the huts were located at the center of the settlement. It seems a community kitchen sort of thing. But can you enlighten us as to the burial practices?
Well, most of the burials were within the habitational area, right underneath the hut floors, and there were circular pits plastered with lime, and we have both secondary burial and inhumation. And what is very interesting is that we get animal burial along with human burial. Wild animals like wolves or deer, they were buried, and domesticated animals like cattle were also buried along with humans. And what is a very touching picture is the burial of a dog. You could almost visualize the tame, faithful dog following his master to his grave.
Would it kind of say something about their practicing hunting, and probably the dogs actually helped and accompanied the hunters from this site? What kind of evidence do we have from these sites about their pottery?
From period 1 at Burzahom, we have handmade pottery of a very coarse variety, and the colors range from grey, buff, red and brown. And another interesting feature is that on the surface of this pottery we find impressions of a mat. Maybe when they were being made, they were placed on a mat, so the impressions have come on the surface. Then in period 2 again the pottery is handmade, but now we have a new kind of ware, which is a polished burnished ware. And the types include, in the first period 1, rimless bowls and jars, and in period 2 we have high necked jars and bowls with flared lips. And at a later period in Gufkral, we find again handmade pottery with a kind of grey ware, and again matte impressions on the surface. And there we have the usual forms like basins, bowls, jars and so on. And
so that comes at a later period,
yes,
second subphase.
Yeah, and the second subphase is actually dated to 1700 BC, whereas the beginnings of this culture at Burzahom is actually 2900 BC.
That is a ceramic period where you do not find pottery at all.
At Gufkral, but at Burzahom, for both the periods we have pottery and handmade pottery. The stone tools are very interesting. They have a wide array. We have special Neolithic oblong and oval axes and cells, and we also have chopping stones, grinding stones and mace heads. That's actually an indication for hunting. They have a very nice array of bone tools also, and we have harpoons, for example, which indicates fishing. Once more. Harpoons and bone points and other scrapers and other such things. So we have a lot of assemblage for the Neolithic in Kashmir Valley. Another very interesting evidence is in the form of plant remains. We get wheat, barley and lentils.